to a photo that went viral in 2012. So this photo, right? I'll give you a moment to enjoy this photo, look at it, jog your memory a little bit and see whether perhaps it looks a little familiar. Right? Does it look familiar? So this photo is actually a photo of our keynote speaker, which is Anya Ringgren Loven. When the locals outcasted a boy as a witch, he roamed the streets of Nigeria in hunger, thirst, and of course in fear. Then an angel swooped in to save him, and this moment that you're looking at was captured for the world to see. If we talk about values like love, compassion, and strength, this lady is the epitome of those words. It is a privilege and an honor of mine to finally be able to meet Anya. I have been a huge fan of her work, everything that she stands for. With that, I'd like to pass the session to PDG Manohur to tell you more about our keynote speaker.
Hi, good day, my fellow Rotarians, Rotractors, and guests. Our next speaker, like the MC said, is Anya Ringgren Loven, who is the founder of Land of Hope, a Danish aid organization that is leading the fight to save the thousands of children being accused of witchcraft every year in Nigeria. Anya's face became recognizable worldwide when a photo of her with the malnourished Nigerian witch child, which you saw earlier, went viral on social media in 2016. In the photo, Anya gave the boy some crackers and water, which he drank carefully. She took him gently up in her arms and went to the hospital. Anya did not think that he would survive. Quote, when we got him in the car, I looked at my husband and told him we should name him Hope, she said. I did not want him to die without a name. I wanted him to die with dignity. To me, hope means help one person every day. Hope survived and now lives with 70 plus other lovely children at the Land of Hope, a lovely home for the so-called witch children who have been abandoned due to fear of witchcraft. The Children's Center sits on 3 acres in southeast Nigeria and is run by Anya and her husband David. Here the children receive love, care, room, board, and education. It's a home-like setting that for the children is like growing up in a very large family. Anya's work with so-called witch children in Nigeria has led to worldwide recognition, including a personal meeting with Dalai Lama in 2017. Anya has also been recognized with the following awards and honors: Lifeguard Prize in 2018, Hope Award in 2017, Magazine World's Most Inspiring Person in 2016, the Neil Ebbsons Medal in 2016, Volunteer of the Year, the Children's Town Prize in 2016, and of course, our own Rotary Paul Harris Fellow Medal in 2017. You can read about Anya in a book. However, the book is only in Danish at the moment. We hope that it will come out in English in no time. Now I can go on reading her CV. It's very long and she's just done lots of things. But however, she's here today. Ladies and gentlemen, live from Nigeria, let's have Anya Ringgren Loven.
Thank you very much for this wonderful introduction, and thank you all Rotary District for having me today to talk about my work in Nigeria. I want to start by saying that I am actually currently in Denmark. I came back to Denmark yesterday evening from Nigeria, so I don't hope I look too tired. It's been a long journey, but I have spent the last month in Nigeria being back home. I call Nigeria my home, with all my 80 children at Land of Hope Children's Center in Nigeria. This talk today from me to you is about the witch children of Africa. But before I start talking about why children are being accused of witchcraft in Nigeria especially, I want to take you back to 2012, where I founded my Danish NGO, Land of Hope, because that is where it all began. And since I founded my organization, I quickly became very famous in Denmark because people noticed me very quickly of the decisions I took and the way I changed my life to follow my long life dream about making a difference for children in Africa, especially the Nigerian children accused of witchcraft. For me to take these decisions of changing my life was very easy for me. And to others, it might seem to be very crazy, because what I did is that I actually sold all my belongings. I sold my apartment. What I did is I made myself homeless in Denmark. I gave up my life, my safe and protected life here in Denmark to pursue my dream. I did it because that was the only way I could see that I could get money to buy a flight ticket to make a difference for children in Africa. So these decisions that I took in my life, in my life, came very natural to me. And later on, as you have heard, I was nominated as the world's most inspiring person for many of the decisions I took. And it was very difficult for me to understand how people would look at me and think of me as a hero, because all the decisions that I have taken is coming just naturally and straight from my heart. Because we need to look also at my background and how I was raised. I was raised by a single mom with 3 children, and she gave me the right tools of compassion. And she always told me, since I was 5 and 6 years old and sitting eating my dinner, she would always tell me if I did not finish eating my meat and my potatoes, she would always remind me of children in Africa who were starving, and that I should appreciate having food on the table, having a bed to sleep in, and roof over my head. So those were the values she gave me from a very, very young age. And those values is what I have been brought up with, that we should always appreciate what we have and always look at the opportunities that is lying ahead, and knowing that there are millions of innocent children out there who does not have these opportunities, that it is our responsibility to give back to society. So that is how I am raised. And when I was 22, 23, my mom became very sick, and she was diagnosed with lung cancer. And after 9 months of battling the cancer, my mom died. And at that point, I was 23 years old. I was about to leave to Africa to follow my dream, because since my childhood, I've always talked about going to Africa, making a difference. But when my mom died, that was actually the beginning of my downturn, because I never imagined that I would lose my mom and that she would die. You know, my mom was my pillar, my mom was my mentor, my mom was my guidance. So to suddenly lose her in such a young age was very difficult for me, and I struggled for many years. I had already set out my goal of doing what I know best, and that is to help other people in need. But I had to find a way out of the grief. But I always kept thinking of what my mom told me, and that is that it was to just, of course, be strong, but knowing that if you want to succeed in life, you need to work very hard for it, because things that does not just come to you. And she always told me that the money does not grow on trees, and that people might look at you and don't understand your way of thinking, and that you should just um, take that big leap and just go and follow your dreams. So that is what I did. But it actually took me a decade for me to get my strength back after I lost her. So when I was 30 years old is when I decided to, now it's time for me to change my life completely and follow my dreams. And that is when I took the decision to give up my life in Denmark. And the first country I came to in Africa was actually not Nigeria. The first country I traveled to was Malawi. I became an observer for Danish Aid, one of the biggest Danish NGOs. And my job was to actually live with a very poor Malawian family. I had to feel on my own body how it felt being a very poor African. So it was like, to me, the best gift anyone could give me, because for me to feel on my own body how it felt to not have clean drinking water, to sleep on the floor, not to have food on my table unless I go out and get it myself and work hard for it, was very important for me to experience, to feel how it is to really struggle. And it gave me so much insight of the African culture. And also I never knew that this kind of poverty existed. I had read about it. I have, throughout my whole childhood, I have watched all documentaries. My big passion was Africa. So, but there is a big difference in reading something in books, seeing something on television, and then find yourself in such rural area where people go miles to just find clean drinking water. And there is one specific time when I was living with my family in Malawi, where something just changed in me completely. Because one evening, when the mother in the family I stayed was preparing food very late in the evening, we did not have any light, no electricity. So the only light we had in the evening was from the fire that came from this very old oven, a stone oven in this village. And the mom was carrying a baby on her back. The children were sitting on my laps and crying, because every night we did not get a lot of food, and the children was crying of hunger. So while having these children, trying to comfort them, telling them that food will be ready very soon, the mom was tired that evening. She had been working since early morning. And when she looked at me, I saw her. I saw how she was just trying to get this food ready. But she told me something that I will never forget. While the children were crying, she looked at me and said these specific words. She said to me, "My children's cry is my enemy. It's a cry of hunger." And then she continued trying to make the food ready. And that really made the whole difference from me. Imagine a mother and having to not know if there would be food ready the next day, and just hearing her say that her children's cry was her enemy because it's a cry of hunger made me realize that I had finally found my mission in life. Those children that my mom told me about when I was 5, 6 years old, that was starving when I did not want to finish my own food, those children I finally found. And that evening I went to bed and I told myself, actually I had a little conversation with my mom up in heaven, and I told her, Mom, those children you always told me about, I finally found them, and I promise you that I will devote the rest of my life to try and make a difference for these children. And I stayed in Malawi for some months, came back to Denmark again, and then I actually traveled by myself back to Africa, to Tanzania, where I, on my own, not with a big organization, but on my own, I raised funds and built up a school in a very poor village, because my trip to Tanzania was actually my test to see if I had what it takes to make a difference on my own before I founded a Land of Hope. So Tanzania was also the start for me to transform into a real aid worker on my own. And then coming back from Tanzania is where I had the courage to take the final step to found a Land of Hope. And when I founded a Land of Hope, many people told me that, are you going back to Tanzania? Are you going back to Malawi? And I said, no, because for many, many years, since 2008, I had some children in my heart that I needed to support. I needed to find out what is going on, because back in 2008, I saw a documentary on Danish television called The Witch Children of Africa. And I was shocked. I was very shocked to find out that in Africa, sorry, jeg holder lige et foredrag, that in Africa, in Nigeria, children are being accused of being witches. And I have never heard about that superstition before. I thought I knew so much about the African culture, growing up, reading so many books about it, hearing stories from my mom, watching documentaries. But poverty and diseases was not the only cause of children dying. Imagine children being branded witches. When they are now branded witches, these children are being captured, held in captivity without getting food, without getting anything to drink, slowly dying. Some are being tortured alive, some are being burned alive. What we see right now, and what is actually the normal thing to do when children are being branded witches today, is that children will be taken to the local marketplace. They will now put a tire on the child and burn the child alive, because the villagers think that this child is the cause of all the problems. So for me to find out that this was going on was a shock. And I promised myself back in 2008 that one day I will find myself in Nigeria and try to understand this very, very old belief system that is so deeply rooted in the African culture, and try to find out how can we change this very old belief system? How can we change these people mindsets and make the communities in Nigeria safe again for children to grow up? So when I, 4 years after founded Land of Hope, my only mission was to travel to Nigeria and bring awareness not only to the Danish people, but to the whole world about what is happening in Nigeria. So that was my goal. And when I came to Nigeria for the very first time back in 2013, I, after some weeks, met my now current husband. At that time, he was studying law at the university, and he had already for years been fighting the superstition in the local communities. And he told me, first and foremost, he told me, "Are you crazy? You are here alone as a woman." At that time, I had blonde hair. This is one of the most dangerous countries in Africa. This is one of the most dangerous areas. So it's very dangerous for you to be here. And not to be naive, but I told him that these children don't have a voice. I need to be here. I need to give these children a voice for the world to see what is going on in Nigeria, because this problem is widespread. Thousands of children every year are branded as witches in Nigeria. So if I'm not here, how can we help these children? And it was not my intention to come to Nigeria and fall in love, but that is what I ended up doing. And David and I, not only did we become very close as friends, we shared the same vision. We had the same goals in life to change the mindset, to make advocacy programs in the rural areas, to enlighten the local villagers, to educate. And our first priority was to make education available for children in all these areas, because the greatest weapon against superstition is education. And I also came to understand something very, very important, because when you are sitting in a country like I am in Denmark, life is easy. Life, all your rights are being protected. And it's easy to judge. It's easy to look at these people in Nigeria and judge them, saying, how can you be this cruel? How can you brand children as witches? But what we must remember is that, for example, in Denmark, in the 1600, here in Denmark, we killed and burned alive more than 2,000 women and children, branded them witches. So if you go back, read the history book, the witch hunt through Europe in that time, thousands of children, men and women, were branded witches in Europe. So we need to ask ourselves the question, why are we no longer burning people alive? Why are we no longer killing innocent people, branding them witches in Denmark and in Europe? And why is it still happening in Nigeria and other African countries? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. Because when I read about the Danish history, why did we brand women, especially women, witches? We did that because we were not educated. We did not send our children to school. So when something occurred or happened in a Danish village, for example, if someone died, if the harvest went wrong, if a child was being stubborn, anything we did not have an answer to, we related it to superstition. We thought that some of these women were witches, and it was actually the Danish church that sent these women to a judge, and that judge now had to decide whether this woman was a witch or not. And we tested these women, and one of the tests we did was actually in a Danish court. That woman was put on a scale, because at that time in Denmark, we thought that if the woman was very small and did not weigh a lot, she must be a witch because witches were flying up in the air. That is how we were judging women back then, 200, 300 years ago. So when I now go into the communities in Nigeria and I ask the same question, why do you think your child is a witch? I will get the same answers. They would tell me that either the child is being very stubborn, either there is someone in the family who has died, someone in the family who has caught a sickness, or anything that they cannot find any answers to because they are not educated. They will now relate it to superstition and say that the child is the cause of our problems. So children are becoming scapegoats of this old belief. So what is really needed and what we do and have done now for a decade in Nigeria is that we, of course, use a lot of time to develop the communities by having a lot of advocacy programs, by educating these people. So you will not imagine what people are saying to us when we are there. Not very long ago, I was in a village where one man came to me and said that his grandson was a witch because he had an infection in his foot. And he took me to a tree and told me that in the night, his grandson would go down inside this tree to the witchcraft coven and come back with rats. And these rats was eating from this man's foot, causing the infection. So sometimes when you are there, you really feel there's a long way to go to change the mindset of these people. But you need to also understand that these people, they don't have access to clean drinking water. The Nigerian government does not do anything to help these people. They are left to themselves. So what we see is a lot of jungle justice, as we call it. These people will take law into their own hands, create their own laws, and that is also a big problem, that there is no help from the Nigerian government. And there's also one other aspect of this big major problem is that many so-called pastors, self-claimed pastors and witch doctors will claim children to be witches and say to the parents, I can cure your child. Come to me for free deliverance, but pay me. You need to pay me. So it's also a matter of corruption, a matter of people getting rich because of people's ignorance. So when people ask me, why do we still see children being branded witches in Nigeria today? It can be zoomed down to two major problems: extreme poverty and ignorance. And it is caused by extreme corruption in Nigeria. So we are dealing with a lot of aspects in this superstition. And it is a long way to go, but in 2016, when we rescued Hope, that is when we finally had the world's attention to what is going on in Nigeria. And actually, to be very honest, for us to be able to work in Nigeria, we also need to be very diplomatic because we need to work very close with the Nigerian government and local police, women's social welfare department. So there are many units that we need to work close with. So we need to be very modest and diplomatic. And when we rescued Hope, we got so much attention and a lot of support, and that was very great. But at the same time, it also caused some issues on another side, and that was security. But for us, we are just juggling all of this, and I am surrounded by a very big team of compassionate, devoted people at Land of Hope Children's Center in Nigeria. And for us and for me to get this opportunity to talk to you today is a very big support, because we are here. I am here to raise awareness of the fact that around 10,000 children are dying every year due to superstition. And we need to work together to find solutions, to all of us take some responsibility and make these communities more safe for children to grow up and live in. And I think that, yeah, normally I can talk for hours about this work, and I think my time now, as I look at the time, is running, and this was my 30 minutes I had today. I don't know if there is anyone who has any questions. I am here and willing to answer the questions.
Invite PDG Siti Subaidah.
Hello, friends, and hello, Anya.
Hello.
All the way, I know you arrived in Denmark from Nigeria yesterday, but we are glad that you're able to join us. And you know, friends, it is amazing what Anya has shared with us. I think her childhood determination of wanting to help people in Africa, and she has achieved it in the last 8 years. Her involvement, if you've heard what she said, I mean, can you imagine someone who gave up everything she had, she sold everything just to experience what poverty is all about? I think with that experience, Anya, I'm sure, you know, working with and helping these children is something that touches you. And I think when we Rotarians, when we do something, we want to be able to, that project or that child or that activity to touch us as well as touch others. And you have done that, and you have shown us Rotarians that it doesn't take a lot, actually. It doesn't. It just takes your passion, your compassion, and how you understand. I think one of the traits of Anya is that she knows witchcraft is there is a practice of the Nigerians. But what she does is she learns to understand why do they do it, and how can I help them, and how she can help them. And I think that's what Rotarians are doing. I mean, we when we do projects, we will learn to, or we understand what the community needs first before we can go out there to help them. And that's exactly what Anya has done. Anya, that's fantastic. I mean, you're just not a change maker overall, I mean, for us, but I think you're a global citizen for us. You know, you have showed us many ways we can do things, even with no funds. Is how you reach out to people, right? You have changed the lifestyles of children. You brought them out from poverty. You transformed their lives. You gave them education. And sad to say, I mean, since centuries until today, women and children has always been the victim, you know, of even, you know, witches and witchcraft and things like that. But of course, here back home, we do have experienced witchcraft some time ago. But again, it's all about poverty, ignorance, and of course, the big word, corruption. Yes. Right. So how can we, how can we as a global citizen, how can we as Rotarians, you know, look at things like that whenever we do our projects? Anya, once again, on behalf of Rotary District 3300, we thank you for your presence and your time and sharing with us your passion, your work, and the work of the Land of Hope. And we wish you all the best. And
thank you.
Do reach out with us, and fellow Rotarians and guests. Anya has got 200,000 followers in her Facebook, and I think she's got about 11,000 engagements. So if you need to ask her more questions, know about her more, please go to Anya Ringgren Loven. Thank you so much once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, before our next segment, I'd like to say something about the video we're going to show. This has been prepared by our Rotaractors, and it's set basically in Bukit Kiara, one of the very beautiful green lungs which we have for public use. And if you want to visit, do contact us. We can arrange it. But the very important thing is that for some of you, you may know that this coming Rotary year, the environment has been basically set as the 7th pillar of Rotary, of focus. And it's quite interesting, the RI president just very recently basically called this our ultimate mission. And I think this is very important because, you know, the climate emergency is real, it's here, and we really need to change our lifestyles to be able to meet the demands. The video basically synthesizes the key environmental issues which we have today and the awakening which is required from all of us. So please enjoy this short snippet and do ponder the fact that it all starts with you. Hi, I hope you enjoyed that. I think quite a lovely snippet. Of course, we're going to go into the next session, which is the membership forum. And of course, membership is a very important part of our movement. We have something like 35,000 clubs in 200 countries, 1.2 million members. And some of the objectives, of course, of Rotary are things like building goodwill, looking at peace throughout the world, and so on. So in this context, millions of lives have been impacted every year and changed for the better. And this change would not have been possible without that Rotary family. So, Alex, what about you? What is your perspectives of this?
I mean, from a very young club, a very young member, when I joined the Rotary Club of Manohur Gateway just 2 years ago, I thought it was just like a good opportunity for me to hang out with like-minded people around my age. I thought it would be great to be able to like catch, or grab a drink or two with people because, fellowship, friendship is a huge part of Rotary, right? And I think it's just surprising. What I didn't expect, right, being a new member was the opportunity to know more people, right? In a very short time, I was able to make over 100 new friends. And through, especially now going through COVID, having joint, online meetings, I was able to meet even more people through joint meetings, through online friendships, and we were able to meet people as far as London, all the way to the Philippines, which in all honesty is not bad, right? For somebody who has been on a self-imposed self-isolation for the last 1 year plus, right? And probably a person that enjoys her alone time a little bit too much. I think 100 friends is amazing, right? And of course, not to mention the impact that we've made in our clubs, right? And the lives that we've changed through our services and our projects. So a little bit about my club, right? Being a young club, everybody is very different, right? And everybody has a sense of camaraderie, a sense of love that we have for each other. And my club members, and I'm sure in a lot of other clubs, especially your clubs as well, it feels a little bit more than just a membership. It feels a lot more like family. And I'm an only child, right? So to have people to bicker with and to have people to not want to share my toys with is an amazing opportunity, all right? So with that, our next session is the membership forum. And the theme this year is opening opportunities. For this session, I'd like to pass the session to our moderator, which is Dr. Siva Nandan. He is the district membership chair.
अच्छा है सब ठीक है
Right. Good evening, my fellow Rotarians, and welcome to the membership forum that we are going to have this evening. And I'm so glad that you all could find the time to join us, because we are in very precarious circumstances with the total lockdown being announced, and everybody is rushing to get their larders full before Tuesday. And despite that, here you are pursuing the Rotary dream. You know, today's session is entitled Opening Opportunities. And the opportunities that we open are opportunities not just for others, but also for ourselves. As we heal the world, we heal ourselves. As we serve the world, we enrich ourselves. And I'm extremely happy that this Rotary year, all of you have dreamed, you have created, and you have inspired change in our Rotarians, so that we have kept growing and growing, and we are still growing, thanks largely to the efforts of our District Governor, Teo Kwan Swee. So my friends, my name is of course Siva, and I'm your moderator for this afternoon's session. And I'm glad to tell you that we have really a world-class panel of extremely dedicated and experienced Rotarians. And so my job as the moderator, as you can see, is to do this. That's right, take the club out, keep everyone in check, ask the right questions, and hopefully get the right answers. So, Rotary's strategic priorities are to create impact by expanding our reach, by engaging our Rotarians and our community, and by adapting to the constant changes that are happening in the world. And I think this year has been one of the most challenging years in the history of humanity, certainly in the last 100 years. And here, to help us go through it, just hold on, I may have clicked the wrong button. We have a distinguished panel of Rotarians. Firstly, we have a man who needs no introduction, a Rotarian for nearly 50 years, past Rotary International President, Kalyan Banerjee. As you can see him, he is on our screen there at the top left-hand corner. And joining him will be someone who is no stranger to District 3300, past District Governor Haji Andre Suharto, who will be looking at engage and how do we engage our Rotarians, how do we engage our community. Right after past Rotary International President Kalyan talks about how we can reach more people. And our third panelist, of course, will be past District Governor Oyan Villenueva from the Philippines. And he's going to talk about how we can adapt and meet the changes that are confronting us. And as we go along, I will introduce our speakers better so that you get to know them better. So my friends, firstly, I'm going to ask our panelists just to say hello, all right? So I'd like to invite past Rotary International President Kalyan to say hello to you.
Hello, namaskar,
Yeah.
as we say in India.
Thank you.
Happy to be with you.
Thank you. Andre?
Thank you very much for being here, and a very good, happy Saturday afternoon.
and Pastor Governor Oyan.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. I miss Malaysian food.
Yeah, and Oyan, we miss you, but somehow, you look to be looking up somewhere. I don't know where that is. Your screen must be higher than your eye level,
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get straight to business. We'll have our panelists share their views with you, and then we will go to question and answers. So Rotarians attending this forum, please type in your questions into the chat box on Zoom, and we will get round to taking your questions once we've heard from our panelists. And our first panelist, of course, is past Rotary International President Kalyan Banerjee. As you can see, he is a man who has had a fantastic track record as a Rotarian. He's a chemical engineer by profession, and he is the founder of United Bosphorus Limited, which he built into the largest agrochemical manufacturer in India. He joined the Rotary Club of Vapi in District 3060, Gujarat, India in 1972. And he has served at, I suppose, every club position and every district position, was a director of Rotary International in 1995 to 97, a trustee of the foundation from 2001 to 05, and our Rotary International president in 2011-2012. And after his term as president, most people will just kind of retire, fade into the sunset, but not Kalyan. He has carried up the cudgel and carried on his service as a trustee of the foundation from 2013 to 17 and as chair from 2016 to 2017. You will rarely find a man who has such courage in his convictions and his love for Rotary. My friends, please welcome our first panelist who will be talking to us about REACH, past Rotary International President Kalyan Banerjee.
Namaskar. I'm at 3300 at their 86th district conference. Thank Dr. Shiva for his invitation to me to talk about Rotary today. Its membership, its service activities, and to some extent, its future. Perhaps one recent development in Rotary has been in President Barry Raffin's year of including Rotaractors, if they want, as members of Rotary clubs. They could have their own Rotary club, they could join an existing Rotary club, or these Rotaract Rotarians, as I call them, and they could be members of both. As I said, this is a huge change to make our new Rotary look younger, more energetic, and actually ready to serve. It could significantly grow our membership numbers too. And that is something that we have been trying and successfully to do for years. We start growing now. Have we solved our problems of numbers? Quite really sure. At least in Asia, in our region, it has not shown significance as yet. And it's not affected demographics in the West much either, particularly in North and South America, though some countries in Europe, like Belgium and the Netherlands, notably, have seen Rotaractors come in with Rotary. So will changes in rules make a huge difference? I would say, let's wait and see if it works out. Why does a person really join Rotary? If a person, I would say, wishes to serve his community in any way, whether for people to be good in good health, whether for the community's children and its young generation to be well educated, and whether the person seeks to improve the quality of life in the community through better roads, improving environment, ensuring cleanliness, or whatever. The person may wish to join Rotary in his community to help him with more hands and more inputs. Such a person achieves a sense of purpose and satisfaction when his goal is met. And this is one of the best reasons, the most popular causes as to why you and I have joined Rotary. You may well say that service is only one aspect of why you are a Rotarian. Friendship, being together are equally a good reason for being a Rotarian too. And that's true, of course it is. If you wish to serve and do something for your community, joining Rotary is a good way to achieve your purpose. But does that mean that only being a Rotarian you to serve the community? Can't it be done without your being a Rotarian? The answer is yes, of course you can. But you then have to go your own way alone. Resources, your time, your ideas, your plans, your finances. But if you do it through Rotary, as a Rotarian, a plethora of minds and hands and purses too join you to help you do your work. And that's why you and I become a Rotarian. But if that is indeed true, why are more and more people not joining Rotary? Perhaps because they feel they can get a work done with less fuss, less time, and more successfully on their own. And so I ask you, is our Rotary too slow moving? Do we really talk too much and do far less? Do we tend to do small things and make big claims? Well, I'd say sometimes, possibly, yes, that's true. To all of those queries. And if you agree, let us keep Rotary simple. Let's keep Rotary simple, business-like, remembering that service is our business more than anything else, and more attuned to being to the present way of life. You know, internet dependent, self-contained, fast, and media oriented. That's the way of life today. Many Rotarians are happy that they are part of a universal worldwide organization. But when you look at other worldwide NGOs and groups, you realize that as a mover and shaker, we probably don't even rank among the top 15 NGOs in the world today. Yes, we claim we have fought polio with our time, our money, our energy. As president, I even had the occasion to go once to Afghanistan in some of the most difficult days. We have done all that. We have done that. But polio is still around, and we are not sure when it is going to go away or whether it will ever come back. In many parts of Rotary in the United States today, polio is gone everywhere, of course, but they want to get involved in something else quickly. I think we need to stick more to the job and keep our vigil to keep polio out. That should be our aim. And if we are keen to be seen doing something else, that we shall be more attuned to the demographics of today. Always uncertain, always today's generation has learned to live and die, unfortunately, with COVID in our world, with SARS. We live in times when countries can harm or damage one another. And so we need to be together, not only to have strength, safety, but even to survive. Don't you think that after a time like this, Rotary can never be the same? And because the world today is changing. Having said all that I have said, do I sound uncertain, even a bit pessimistic? Well, I'm sorry if I do, because I never have been more optimistic about the future than I am today. Yes, we are passing through critical times, but I believe that criticality will help look and act for us to behave differently, keeping up with the present times and today's circumstances. I believe Rotary tomorrow will be more localized, and we shall have probably national organizations rather than only one Chicago, United States-based international organization. I believe there will be perhaps one world president like now, but each country or Rotary region could have a vice president to more regionally run Rotary and make it more visible and available locally to the countries in which it thrives. There could be a vice president South Asia, or a vice president Japan or vice president Korea, for example. Each region could have its own secretariat doing its own thing, and relating to the region only. And this will mean that the world leader will be more ceremonial than today. And you may not, unfortunately, agree with all that I'm trying to say today, but just stand by and see what happens in the future. You know, as RI president 10 years ago, I had once said that the foundation should focus more on the environment. They did not agree at that time. Today, 11 years later, Rotary does focus on the environment as one of the foundation's area of focus. I'd also said that in 2011, we focused on that at that time on Rotary Foundation and Rotary membership only. Equally, we need to focus on our public image, how others are looking at us. Today, public image is one of Rotary's big thing, and it's gaining importance and popularity and involvement everywhere. So yes, as the world changes, so does our lives, so do our lives, and so will our Rotary change. So change will be the next order of our lives, indeed. So let's keep going on and doing the best that we can, because tomorrow beckons to us all. Thank you.
Thank you, past Rotary International President Kalyan, for those very insightful ideas that you've shared with us. Certainly in Malaysia, in District 3300, our district, for the very first time, we have been able to grow past 2,000 members, which is a very momentous thing for our district. And I certainly agree with what you've said on road track. We have yet to see what developments will happen from the decision that has been made to make road track a membership type. And I certainly think that you've given us much thought, much things that we have to think about, because one of the things you asked, which I think is very pertinent, is can a person serve without being a Rotarian? And so if an individual chooses to do that, then why is that individual choosing to do that? Is it because we are too slow, too bureaucratic? All right. Do we do small things and make big claims? All right. Or are we just an organization where there's just a lot of talk and a lot of meetings and very little work outside of that? This is certainly something that we'll talk about during the discussion set of this forum. I would like to move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker, of course, is no stranger to us. Haji Andre Suharto, past district governor from District 3310. He, of course, is a graduate from the University of Essex and LSE. He's a very successful businessman. He has businesses in IT, cars, and timber. He joined Rotary in 1986 and is a member of the Rotary Club of Kuching Central. It's a remarkable club. I had the opportunity to be at a Pan Borneo meet that they hosted. They only serve Blue Label whiskey. All right, remarkable club. Okay, he was district governor in the Rotary year 2014, 2015. I had the privilege of being one of the speakers at his district training assembly. And currently, he is the Rotary Regional Public Image Coordinator for our zones 10B and C, covering Brunei, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Cambodia, and Myanmar. He has also been a Rotary International Training Leader, both in 2020 and 2021, and he has served in many, many district positions, including as district trainer. Past District Governor Haji Andre is a man who has been, in my opinion, responsible for reshaping the training programs in District 3310 and in driving their membership past 2,000 members. So it is indeed an honor for us to have him here with us today. I give you past District Governor Haji Andre Suharto, who is going to talk to us about engagement. All yours, Andre.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction, moderator, DGND, Dr. Siva, and hello to District Governor KS Teo, and congratulations for having passed that 2,000 over members for District 3300. What a wonderful feat it has been. I'm sure it has got a lot of hard work and strategies that are proven to be effective in your year as a governor. And as well as thank you for inviting me to be here. Before we talk about what does it mean to engage our members and the community in Rotary, maybe it will be not a bad idea for us to look at what does the word engage actually means. Now, to me, members' engagement is the ongoing interaction between a member and the Rotary Club in exchange for some meaningful value. Now, this value could be anything, and that different members will perceive different things with different value. And this means that keeping in touch with your members, posting often on social media, having the club newsletter, creating meaningful contents, and inviting participation among other approaches. So having defined the word engage, I think there are two types of engagement. One is reactive and another one is proactive. Now, reactive is when a member comes to the club and say, hey, look, I'm an optometrist. Is there anything that the club can do to do eye screening where I can contribute my talents? That is being reactive. And therefore, the club leadership listens, either will fulfill those needs or being passive and just ignore that request or suggestion. Now, the other portion that I mentioned about was being proactive. Now, you and me, especially those who have been in business where we have a lot of customers, I think you all know that it is very, very important for us to become proactive in order to make sure that we retain our customers and we have customers' loyalty with us. And similarly in Rotary, I think it pays to be proactive. But what do we mean by being proactive? There are many ways in which we can be proactive, but I think one of the most effective way of being proactive is to do personalization. What do I mean by that? I mean that the club leadership should be able to know the needs and expectation of every member. Not only a handful of members, but every member, if you want the members to be active and if you want to have 100% retention. And this is very important. So when we talk about personalization, that means one of the ways to do it is perhaps to engage with each member, finding out the needs and wants of each and every member. But with a club of 25 members, let's say, it may be considered small, but if you leave this job to just the club membership chair, having to be able to remember and engage with each of the 25 members to find out what their needs are individually, I can tell you that is going to be an effort. And therefore, in order to be effective, you need to have just more than one person beyond just the club chair for membership to be doing this, so that the committee will be able to understand each and every one of the member and then analyze the results and see what can be done for the club to provide such activities that is tailored towards the need and expectation of each of the members. Now, having said that, I think it is fair to assume that in any club, you have different kind of members. And if you look at the profile of the members, there are members who just want to volunteer, who just want to contribute their talents, who just want to be involved in projects. There are members who are always happy and excited to be part of your effort. There are those loyalists who are committed to seeing every effort succeed. There are some who just like to donate, right? And they provide funding for whatever it is. And there are those that are attendees where they will show up and support your effort in every club project and especially fellowship. But The one that you are looking for is a member who is actually an advocate. This is the kind of members that you want. And it is very, very difficult to get a club where 100% of the members are actually practicing advocacy. And it is through advocacy that you will be able to get each of the members to promote their club and get new members. Now, in each of the category of the members that I just mentioned to you, there are those who are inactive. There are those who are sporadic. That means their engagement and participation is not consistent. There are those who are actually engaged and getting involved in most activities on a regular basis. And there are obviously those that are brand ambassador. That means they are basically active, they are loyal, they live, they eat, they sleep, everything about Rotary. And that's the kind of members that you want. But if you analyze in any district, the kind of membership that we have, there are not many of them who are brand ambassadors. So therefore, it is the effort of every one of us, and not only the club leadership, to try and move up the members level engagement from the inactive, sporadic engaged into brand ambassador. And how do we do that? Again, as I said, through personalizations and understanding the needs, the needs and expectation of the members, and as well as the community. We need to be able to provide them without due delay. So if we have already made an effort to try and understand the needs and wants of every member, we must make sure that we take action quickly and not wait for another 3-4 months before things happen that can provide the kind of flavor that they want. And this is very, very important. As an example, if you have, and I'm sure many of our clubs in our region have Facebook page, I would like you to check and find out how many of them actually shares the posting that are made in the district Facebook page in their own Facebook account. That could be an assessment to determine and to measure how much engagement we have in the district based on the club membership. And the other part is to track the number of followers in your district page or even in the personal Facebook account of each of the individual members. How many post engagement do you have whereby you actually understand the kind of posting that you make on the social media that attracts the most attention? We need to be able to understand this in order for us to be able to know what we can do to engage our members and the community better. And find out the reasons why some members are being inactive. Track the active participation responses. If your club is organizing something, try to track how many members are actually participating and what level of engagement they have in those activities. Because that is something that I think we need to be able to understand the kind of effectiveness in the response that we provide to those members to meet their needs and expectations. Therefore, you need to know and identify from there, from the statistics, which activities are most popularly participated and ensure that these activities cater to the needs of the members. Now, having said that, you must also remember that just because one activity is so popular, it does not mean that it is going to be popular all the time. Situation changes. The budget and the spending and the income of Rotarians and especially the young Rotarians, where they are focusing on their career opportunity, may actually varies in terms of time that they can dedicate to get themselves engaged and participate in these activities. Therefore, participation in providing opportunities for members' personal development is also very, very important, because especially for the younger Rotarians, when I say younger, that means those who are maybe below 40, where they are still busy developing their personal career. And therefore, these opportunities that we provide or the club provide must bring some value to them. As an example, the online learning courses available in the Rotary Learning Center, right, where they provide a lot of non-Rotary related online courses that can enrich their professional life. This is something that we can actually look at and encourage a lot of the young members to do it. Understanding our members is very important. And the reason is because if we don't do that and cater the needs and wants of the members, they may eventually leave the club. Why? Because they feel that they were being underutilized and the physical environment did not support their efforts. The atmosphere was impersonal, maybe tense or cold, and they did not see the connection between one day's work and another. And then veteran long-term members wouldn't let them into their insider group. This is where the cliques in each club needs to open up to diversify, practice diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they did not know how to say that they wanted to leave, so they decided to be inactive. And fellow members treated them as an interruption, not as welcome and anticipated help. The reality of their experience was not what they expected when they signed on. Therefore, it is very, very important that this expectation is actually being met. When they join the club, we must understand their needs. Don't wait until they leave the club and only then we do the exit interview. And I hope that sharing of this, what does it mean to engage our members and the community in Rotary, and what can we do to engage our members better, hopefully I have actually given some points for us to ponder later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that excellent sharing, past Governor Andre. You know, I think you brought some very important points into focus. Firstly, I think we need to ask that question which everybody takes for granted. What is the value proposition? What is the value that we provide to people once they join Rotary? And I think you also spoke very, very relevantly when you said that, you know, more than the reactive focus, what is required is a proactive focus. We need to customize the experience to the needs of every individual Rotarian. You know, and I'm reminded, you know, when you first started talking about engagement, Andre, I got a bit worried when you say, what is the meaning of engage? Because, you know, my engagement was the best time of my life, and then I got married, you know. So I must say, and when I got married, I thought I can continue the honeymoon, you know, the engagement. I told my wife, I said, we run the house like a military. I'm the general, you're the major. Immediately said yes. And from that day until today, she's making all the major decisions. I'm making the general decisions, you know. So I hope that you are not having the same predicament. We will now move on to our next panelist, my good friend and brother from the Philippines, past District Governor Oyan Villenueva. Past District Governor Oyan was educated in the US. He has a master's degree and he runs a very successful Italian coffee, you know, I should say this right, espresso machine importing and distribution company. He joined Rotary in 1999. And is a member of the Rotary Club of Baguio Summer Capital in District 3790, the Philippines. He was actually District Governor in the Rotary year 2009-2010. And by looking at him, you will say, that's amazing, but that's because he became a Rotary District Governor at the age of 40. Right? He is one of the breed of new young district governors that they had in the Philippines. And he has now built himself up to currently being the chair for the One Philippines Humanitarian Award Committee. And he is the Assistant Zone Promotions Chair for the 2021 Taipei Rotary International Convention. He has served in many, many district positions, and including district trainer, and was Regional Rotary Coordinator for the Philippines and Indonesia from 2012 to 2015. I can tell you PDG Oyan is one of the driving forces in District 3790. He is a highly entertaining speaker, and today he is going to share his thoughts with us on what is it that we need to change in Rotary. I give you PDG Oyan Villenueva. Can we unmute PDG Oyan? I can't hear him.
There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that very wonderful introduction. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not going to longer share my presentation. I'm just going to say the need to adapt and adapt is very, very important in these day and times. My fellow Rotarians, our future has been taken from us in the last year. We usually had our strategic planning session every single year to prepare us for whatever we're going to face in the next Rotary year. But unfortunately, nothing in the playbook said how to run your Rotary Club in a pandemic situation. And when do we go back to normal? I'm sorry. They say that we're going to go back to normal when everybody gets vaccinated. But then nobody also said that there was this variant for this virus. Past Rotary International Barry Raskin said, we are a membership organization. If you want to be able to serve, if you want to succeed in our goals, we have to take care of our members. What did he say? He said, before we can do wonderful community service projects, first and foremost, we have to take care of our members. Did he say that right? First, before we can serve other people, we serve our members first. My fellow Rotarians, over the past 10 years, we have lost 1.3 million members, and we used to be 1.2 million members, but now we're down to 1.1 million members. Our membership retention for the last the retention numbers for Rotarians for 3 years or less are the ones that we're losing. So what do we do in these trying times? We reboot. And how do we reboot? Well, my fellow Rotarians, it used to be very easy when shopping for Dove. I take it like the Dove soap. It used to be just the white Dove soap. I've been using it for so many years. But now look, when you go to the shopping mart, when you go to the supermarket, there's so many Dove soaps already. There's pink Dove soap, there's Cool Moisture, there's coconut milk, there's Go Refresh, and the shea butter. And this gave me an idea. Maybe our Rotary clubs can also be the same way. You know, we used to be that generic Dove Rotary clubs, but now maybe we can personalize our own Rotary clubs to serve a specific set of people. Adapt. And how do we say? We're already doing this, my fellow Rotarians. We used to be the traditional club meeting face-to-face. And during the past years, we have adapted so fast. Remember the e-clubs that everybody did not migrate to? But aren't we doing an e-club now? And what is the adaptation there? Maybe we can now adapt and then have the traditional Rotary Club face-to-face, and at the same time have an online members in where? San Francisco, San Diego, Kuala Lumpur, India. But if you take a look at the manual of procedures, nothing is saying against that. The manual of procedures is only saying, 60% of the time you need to attend online or attend your projects at least for the last 2 weeks. But isn't that what we're doing right now? We're adapting, but I caution you, my fellow Rotarians, if we do this, we also have to make sure that the people on the other side of the world is also enjoying that same fellowship that we're enjoying face to face. So technology comes in. Again, we adapt. We take technology and take this to our advantage. At the same time, people in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, in the Philippines, enjoying face-to-face, as well as the people on the other side of the world. The next thing that I'd like you to take to consider are also the cost-based clubs. There's so many things to enjoy in cost-based clubs, and there's nothing that is hindering us from transforming our regular Rotary clubs now to becoming a cost-based clubs. Past District Governor Andre has just said, personalization of each and every Rotarians. But maybe Rotary clubs can also be personalized according to the needs of sets of people. So when you have sets of people liking the same projects, the same cause, then you have a cause-based clubs. What is now hindering us from transforming our traditional Rotary clubs to a cause-based clubs? Then now you have a Rotary club based on environment, literacy clubs, clubs based on WASH. Why not? Who is stopping us? Again, adapt, adapt, adapt. My fellow Rotarians, for the last few years, and the last year as well, Rotary has lost 23,000 members. But Rotaracts have increased by 14,000. And if you take a look at the membership of gender membership, Rotary has 24% female only, and Rotaracts have 51%. This is where opportunity comes in. And did you know that for the last 20 years, the percentage of district governors under the age of 60 has only been 5%. Last year, 6% of the DGs were under the age of 60. We need to adapt because come July 1, we have this Elevate Rotaract. Now, the members of Rotary are not just the Rotary clubs, but the Rotary club, the Rotaract clubs as well. During the last regional meeting last Saturday in the Philippines, it was composed of the Philippine College of Rotary governors. They were harping on how Rotary clubs will be affected in the future, but nobody talked about Rotaracts. Nobody talks about the Rotaracts because probably they are afraid. Huh? No. What I think the opportunity is that the Rotary clubs should be part and beside us in advancing Rotary's cause. But before we can do that, my fellow Rotarians, we need to understand millennials. We need to understand them. But if we want them into our own Rotary clubs, which we are having problems, we need to change the way we do things. And that's probably why they're not coming in our Rotary clubs, because we simply fail to adapt. But bear in mind that this is our future. Lastly, for the last year, I've been looking at my Facebook page and my social media accounts and seen TikToks. I'm sorry, but for the last year, I could not understand TikTok. But if you take a look at the numbers of TikTok users and the TikTok's target market, these are the people that we want to attract in our own Rotary club. I'm trying to show you all of these things, because if we fail to adapt that fast, if we fail to adapt all of these technologies that have come up during the last few years, I'm sorry, we will become extinct. My fellow Rotarians, there's so many things to talk about adaptation, but in order to survive in the next few years, and we do not know what's going to happen in the next few months, because in the Philippines, we are in the country that has been in the longest lockdown, but yet the membership numbers are up, the foundation numbers are up. What gives? What gives, my fellow Rotarians? Adapt, adapt, adapt. That is the only way we can survive in the future. Good afternoon, and thank you very much.
Thank you, past District Governor Oyan. As always, you've pricked our minds and you've made us think, and I like what you said about us having to reboot Rotary, that it's time for us to reboot Rotary because people have choices, but I didn't know that you put so much of thought into your soap. You know your soaps very well, my friend. you know. And I think, of course, what you said, which I think resonated with me, and I think also was spoken by the other panelists, is that we have to try to adapt our experience to different groups. And I think that now Rotary International has come into the situation where they've recognized different types of clubs, e-clubs, and passport clubs and so forth, right? So we are able to adapt, and I think we should. And you asked the question, right? Your membership has increased, your giving has increased in these difficult times. Why? I think because it is in the difficult times that people's generosity is really tested. Yeah, and most people will rise to the occasion. But I'm a bit alarmed by your suggestion that we should look to TikTok, because then our Rotary conferences will finish in 1 hour, because every speaker can only speak for 60 seconds. All right, that in itself might be an innovation we have to try. So now, my friends, it's my pleasure to take us to the question and answer segment of this forum. And we have received quite a few questions. I'd like to start off with the first question that's been directed at past District Governor Andre, because it pertains to Muslim members. And I think that this is a problem that's very peculiar to the Malaysian experience. But surely I think past Rotary International President Kalyan can also weigh in on this, because India has quite a sizable Muslim population. And there are lots of Rotary clubs in other Muslim countries like Bangladesh and Pakistan. But in Malaysia, Andre, we have problems attracting Malay Muslim members into Rotary and in getting them to join. So your thoughts on this, Haji Andre?
This is really a very sensitive issue, and it has actually been, in my knowledge, for many, many years. And having said that, while Rotary is open for all races and all languages and religion, I must admit that not all Muslims would like to join Rotary. Why? Because simple reason. In our organizations, we have non-Muslims. And during dinners, they drink. To some Muslim, I cannot sit next to somebody who is drinking alcohol. But to some Muslims, I'm okay, because as long as I don't drink it. So it depends, and because this is very personalized, right? Very personalized. So this is one issue. There is also the next issue, which is very, very sensitive, because of some Muslims somehow or rather think that, I know maybe some of the Rotarians in my district may not want me to say this, but I think we need to be frank about this. Just because some of the founders of Rotary is Jewish, a lot of Muslim, or rather maybe some Muslim communities, not all, right, think that Rotary is a Jewish organization. And because they are Jewish, it is synonymous to Zionist movement. And you and me know that not all Jewish actually support the Zionist movement, right? So how do we explain this? If we are not Muslim and we go to the, if we are not Muslim and we are going to the Muslim community and tell them and say that, hey, look, Rotary has got nothing to do with Zionists and nothing to do with the Jewish or whatever it is. We serve all communities and we work with anybody. They will not believe you because you are not a Muslim. So in order for us to be able to say this to the Muslim, it takes the Muslim to do this. And that's why I have encouraged a lot of clubs in Semenanjung, Malaysia, West Malaysia, because two of my districts are located at the Peninsula Malaysia, Johor and Malacca, namely, where they have interact clubs in government schools, and a lot of the principals in these schools are Muslim. And as a result of that, they do not support the Interact Club because they see the link between the Interact Club and the Rotary Club. Therefore, the Rotarian who is being given the responsibility to become the Interact advisor preferably should be a Muslim and make acquaintance with the Muslim headmaster to slowly help to dissipate this false belief. And the only way I can look at it is, number one, perhaps continue to do good into the Muslim community, Number two, maybe perhaps it is time between District 3300 and 3310 among the Muslim members of both districts to get together and brainstorm what could be the feasible point of action for us to address this issue. Because I can tell you, if we can address this and solve this, it could be an opportunity that has yet to be tapped into membership growth. That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Haji. Andre, I think really a very valuable insight from you. And I think the idea of us forming a joint task force to study this more carefully is certainly a very useful insight. Past Rotary International President Kalyan, I have a question for you, which is you said that one of the things we have to do is to keep Rotary simple, right? And do you think that decentralization, like you said, having more regional centers of Rotary is the way forward? We can't hear you. Can someone unmute him, please? We can't hear you, Kalyan. Just hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
All right. Yes. Could you slightly repeat that question again, please?
Yeah, because you said, right, that one of the things we have to do is to keep Rotary simple. And right now, you know, everything comes from Chicago. Everything is organized from Chicago. And as one of the things you said, you know, the decentralization, to have more regional centers of Rotary, like Rotary India, Rotary South Asia, Rotary Japan, like that, right? Do you think that that will be, from a macro perspective, a step forward?
I think that will be, because we have been talking about this for some time, and I tell you, even the RI board and you know, at the headquarters, more and more people are beginning to think along these terms. It's still going to take time. You know, there is a certain section who will not let it come away from Evanston. Let it remain the headquarters with the General Secretary taking all decisions. But as a matter of fact, perhaps the General Secretary takes fewer decisions today than he used to in times past. And all decisions are taken by the local, either the director or indeed the district governors. Particularly, this is a time when the whole world seems kind of, each country seems isolated. They're running everything on their own. And therefore, I believe that we are becoming more rather self-dependent rather than dependent on what we have had always at being run from Evanston. It may take a little time, more time, but I believe it has begun to happen. And, you know, I see more countries taking pride of the Rotary in their own country and the kind of thing that it does, because things that the country needs, the Rotary clubs in their country area need, are very often different. The priorities are different. The problems are different from what is happening in the rest of the world. They don't always relate to connect with what's going on everywhere else. And that's the reason why I feel this is more likely to gain popularity.
Yes, I can't agree with you more, because I think also as we decentralize, we will also change this ethos of Rotary as being a kind of an American organization to becoming a truly more international organization.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time when I wanted to go and see you know, the president, I mean, the world, in Russia, because Russia does have Rotary, but it's still not picking up over there. There are very few clubs, and some of these clubs are rather inactive. And I wanted to go and meet the president over there, and I wanted to take, you know, just to make him understand that Rotary is still only not based in the United States. Take some of the other presidents from other parts of the world to just show that we are an international organization. We are not confined only to America.
Absolutely.
We almost got to it, but it didn't quite happen.
And I think, of course,
Not the way I wanted it. I hope it will be carried on.
Sure, sure. And on the same vein, I think China is also a very untapped market in terms of volunteers for Rotary. You know? Yes.
True.
So, yep. Oyan, past Governor Oyan, I have a question here for you. It's a very interesting question. It says that in Rotary, our motto is service above self, okay? What are your thoughts of Rotarians doing business with one another? How about a Rotarian helping another Rotarian in business? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that that's allowed, that's good, that's bad?
Well, let me tell you, we used to frown on that. Before, we used to frown on that. But if you go back in 1905, the history of Rotary was all about these people, 4 people who simply wanted to get together. Because in a crazy world, in Chicago, in a very shady world, there were only 4 people that they can trust. There are now more people in our Rotary clubs that we can trust. Why not network with these people? Simply in the name of Rotary. In the name of Rotary. And let's capitalize on this. Let us not frown at this. Let us capitalize on our strengths, which is our 4-way test in each and every Rotarian that we have in our own Rotary club.
Thank you, past Governor Oyan. You know, we've had a very interesting discussion with all of our panelists, and they've shown us a way how we can rethink our Rotary organization to make it more relevant, not only from the perspective of a Rotary International president, but from the perspective of governors coming from different types of realities. And in order to create this impact, I think what we need to do is we need to create a chain reaction where, as incoming President Shekhar has said, right, each one bring one. I think this is what we need to work on in the coming months and in the next Rotary year so that we can drive our membership forward. Rotary matters, membership matters, because a good membership increases our public image, increases our giving to the foundation, and enables us to do service projects that have greater impact. So if really we want to make and build a better organization, then we have to be prepared to change. You know, as Lao Tzu said, resisting change is like holding your breath. Even if you're successful, it won't end well. So I think we all need to think about that, you know, and I'd like to take this opportunity now to thank our past Rotary International President, Kalyan, for agreeing to be with us, for sharing his thoughts with us on how we can make our organization better by reaching more Rotarians, by looking at how we can elevate Rotaract, and then, you know, certainly he gave us an interesting thought that the next few years will show whether we've set about to elevate Rotaract or to eliminate Rotaract. I don't know. Okay, it's in our hands, is what he said, and we have to be an organization that is reactive and responsive to change, and we have to keep it simple. That's his message. And I'd like to thank past District Governor Haji Andre for his message that we should engage better. He said, you know, that in every Rotary club, there are different kinds of Rotarians, right? I mean, he used different terminology, but I say there are paddlers, there are passengers, and there are boat sinkers, right? They're the people who will help you to paddle the boat. But most Rotarians, they think Rotary is a spectator sport. They'll just look and see what's going on, right? And then, of course, there are some of people like us, very senior Rotarians who've been around a long time. You know, our response is always no, not good. You know, I think we need to change this, right? We shouldn't be the boat sinkers. We should encourage and grow our Rotary organization. And I'd like to thank you, Andre, and I'd like to thank you, Oyan, for taking the time to be here. In fact, I just spoke at Oyan's Distas in 3790 not two weeks ago, and here he is now. And he said it's time to reboot. And his magic mantra is adapt, adapt, adapt. And I think that we should take that message from him to heart. And for those of you who think that, you know, what can I do? I'm only one. Well, let me share the words of Edward Everett Hale. He said, I am only one, but I'm still one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. So my friends, On that note, once again, thank you to our distinguished panel of speakers, and I hope to see you all soon in living color once the new normal goes back to a more in-person normal. Thank you, and God bless all of you. Live the motto, service above self. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Malaysia has seen a rise in suicide attempts and death over the course of the first movement order last year. According to police statistics, the resulting MCO due to the COVID-19 pandemic saw 266 suicide attempts in the first 6 months of the lockdown. And it is reported that 1 in every 4 of the 266 suicide cases were committed by teenagers aged 15 to 18 years old. So let's watch the next video to see how a few words can make a difference in saving someone's life.
Zaman remaja sememangnya penuh keseronokan, peluang dan lebih rasa kebebasan. Namun, diselubungi tekanan peperiksaan, perhubungan dan untuk sentiasa kelihatan terkini bersama rakan-rakan. Untuk sebilangan pula, beban ini keterlaluan sehingga membunuh diri. Membunuh diri bukanlah jawapannya, masih ada harapan. Sekiranya anda pengetua sekolah, sediakan langkah membantu menjaga kesihatan mental pelajar dan guru. Aturkan latihan untuk kaki tangan untuk mengenal pasti tanda-tandanya dan cara untuk berkomunikasi dengan lebih sensitif. Jadikan persekitaran sekolah yang selamat apabila pelajar dan kaki tangan tahu siapa yang boleh membantu jika diperlukan. Sedikit kata-kata, banyak bezanya.
Hello, thank you everyone. We are now approaching our final session for the day. And we are going to be discussing the very important question of where we go as a movement. And I think that's going to be quite important. To do this, I'm going to introduce past District Governor, Dr. Arasu Rajaratnam, and he will in turn introduce the keynote speaker for today, PDG Ghim. Over to you, Dr. Arasu.
Right, thank you. Can you all hear me now? A very good afternoon, organizing chairman, district governors, Rotary coordinators, past governors, and my dear Rotary friends. Thank you for this honor to introduce our guest speaker, a very close friend of mine. Having managed the Zone 6B and the new Region 12 for the last 3 years, and covering 10 countries and setting all-time records in our region, I'm so proud that Rotary has selected a new leader to take over from me at the end of this month. And it's none other than past Governor Ghim. For the region has always been recognized for achieving a lot of givings, a lot of membership growth, and let's listen to his strategy and how he's going to take us further. Graduated from the University of Liverpool in computer science. And as they commonly say, he's a serial entrepreneur, not a serial killer, but a serial entrepreneur. for the last 40 years for his wide and diverse business and experience in IT and fund management, and later into food processing. Started with telecommunications with the Authority of Singapore, and after 2 years, he started his own company. And from that, he moved on and later developed one of the largest privately owned system integration in Singapore. In 2000, he sold his company to Jardine Matheson, and he led a food processing company. And later, he led a food processing company in which he was a director, and which is listed in the Singapore Stock Exchange. And later, he sold it up to Leong Hap Holdings. Started as an investment company, GB Ventures and System Capital. He is currently the executive director. He's a charter member of the Rotary Club of Bugis Junction in 1996. He was president in 1999. He served as governor in the year 2013 and 14. And in the Rotary year 2015-18, he served as a Rotary Global Rewards Ambassador, was Rotary International President's personal representative to District Conference 9460 in Australia. And he served in 16-17 as the Aston Regional Rotary Foundation coordinator. And 17, he led the bid to Rotary to win the 2024 Rotary International Convention to be held in Singapore. He was awarded the Service Above Self Award, and also he served as a Rotary Public Image Coordinator. Again, he was appointed as a President's Rep to Singapore, to Indonesia. And in 2021, this year, he is the organizing chairman of the Singapore Rotary Institute. And 2021-24, he will serve as the Rotary Coordinator for Zone 10 of our new Region 12. He is also currently the Vice Chairman of the Foundation of Rotary Clubs in Singapore. And during his time as governor, he raised $1 million for the first time to the Rotary Foundation in District 3310. He has established 2 endowment funds. He is a member, and Phyllis, his spouse, are both members of the Arch Clump Society, and is responsible for establishing the Rotary House in Singapore. Served 9 years on the City Council as a City Councillor of Singapore, and he's a consultant and served on the committee of the Citizens Consultative Group. He was awarded the Public Service Award medal by the Singapore government and the Public Service Star Award by the President of Singapore. In 2015, he was awarded the Justice of Peace. Kimbok and Phillips have 3 grown-up children, a son, an elder daughter working in US, a son and elder daughter working in USA, and his youngest daughter works with him in Singapore. From the Rotary Club of Bugis Junction, it is my honor to invite incoming Rotary Coordinator Chu Kimbok to address us on the topic, the way forward, the impact strategies, and the planning for the future. Over to you, Kimbok.
Thank you for your kind introductions, PDG Dr Arasu. District Governor Teo Kwan Sui, Rotary dignitaries, my fellow Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is very nice to be with you this afternoon, virtually. So first of all, I must thank Governor Kwan Sui for inviting me to address this district conference. It has been a tough year for everyone as COVID-19 pandemic continues to ravage the world. However, as Rotarians, we must not stand still. COVID or no COVID, there are still plenty of other problems in the world waiting to be solved. So life must go on. But despite the challenges presented to you, Rotarians of District 3300 has done extremely well. How do I know? Last night, I learned all this from last night's district presentation of the number of service projects we have carried out during this difficult year. Yes, I'm the last speaker for today, and I know that you have a business meeting after this. Yes, and I was introduced that the topic given to me was the way forward, impact strategy planning for the future. But after listening to so many great speakers before me, we had this morning, Rotary International President-elect Sheikha Mehta, we have a Rotary International President nominee, Jennifer Zos, and this afternoon, we have a past RI President, Kalyan Banerjee, speaking to us. So seriously, there's almost nothing else I could speak on that topic anymore. So because, much has been said and spoken and discussed. Anyway, I think I will spend some time talking about another topic, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and whether we are ready to embrace it. When Chicago attorney Paul Harris founded Rotary, he invited his colleagues and friends to create a club where professionals of diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas and form meaningful friendships. Over time, that expanded to giving back to their communities. Since its first club meeting more than 100 years ago, Rotary has grown into an international organization with clubs in nearly every country in the world. Our membership comprises of people with countless individual identity who share a singular passion for making the world a better place for everyone. Not so long ago, Rotary membership is strictly based on the members' vocation. Rotary believes in unifying all people internationally behind the ideal of service. We encourage diversity of vocations within our membership and in our activities and service projects. A club that reflects its business and professional community is a club with a key to its future. By the way, diversity is also one of Rotary's core values. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI in short, is a top priority for Rotary International, one that underscores the core values that are a foundation of how members interact with each other and their communities. Over the last 2 years, the Rotary International Board of Directors have taken steps to cement Rotary's commitment to being an organization that sets the standard for valuing and living the principles of DEI. In 2019, the board adopted Rotary DEI statement that affirms its commitment to to DEI and recognizes that welcoming people with differing perspectives and ideas enhances Rotary's ability to create lasting change in community worldwide. In 2020, the board convened a task force that will shape a comprehensive DEI actions plan, which with achievable, measurable, and meaningful outcome for Rotary. The diversity, equity, and inclusion statements reads, as a global network that strives to build a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change, Rotary values diversity and celebrates the contributions of people of all backgrounds, regardless of their age, ethnicity, race, color, abilities, religions, socioeconomic status, culture, sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Rotary focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion will be central to our success in the 21st century. By increasing our effort to put this concept at the core of Rotary experience, we create an environment that makes everyone feel welcome, included, and valued, and one that represents Rotary at its very best. We need to create an organization that is more open and inclusive, fair to all, builds goodwill, and benefits our community. Rotary will cultivate a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture in which people from underrepresented groups have greater opportunity to participate as members and leaders. Making diversity, equity, and inclusion a priority is everyone's responsibility, from the Rotary members to the staff at the Rotary International Headquarters. So this statement is an exciting step forward in Rotary commitments to create a positive environment for current and future members, as well as the community they serve. To increase our ability to adapt, as articulated by PDG Oyan, one of the foreign speakers, we need to find new opportunity, create more paths to leadership, open our conversations to more diverse voices, and simplify how we operate. The fourth priority of Rotary Action Plan aligns with our position on diversity, equity, and inclusion. When we embrace this concept, we enhance our organization and create positive experiences for everyone who engages with Rotary. So engaging people from all culture, experiences, and identities, and making them feel welcome and be part of the Rotary experience is vital to the health and longevity of our organization. So inviting diverse perspectives will offer us new and bold ideas to keep Rotary relevant for the next century. So what can Rotary members do? Firstly, clubs need to be mindful of the agenda. Diversity is so broad. It is not just about age, race, and gender. Just think about how would you describe the majority of people in your club, and then identify people in your community who are outside that norm. If you want your club to grow, then you need to think about this, because the world is becoming a more diverse place all the time. Secondly, club needs to find ways for members to feel included and engaged. Engagement was also discussed in the forum. So many clubs put a lot of efforts in recruiting members, but not so much into getting them involved once they were there. So unless we make them feel included and engaged, they will leave us. So how can we ensure a positive outcome? Change is uncomfortable for everyone, so we need to act gently and sensitively, and to remember our mission. No organization should welcome people who don't share its mission and values. Rotary is no exception. We are not going for diversity of values. The way we are going to grow is with people who are aligned with the value of Rotary. But helping them feel included is important to success. At club events, we must be mindful to make our meetings welcoming to people of various background and ability, and identify opportunities to improve. Events venues must be accessible to all people, including physically challenged people. Manage event costs to keep them affordable. Do not make it exorbitant or too exclusive, and be sensitive to the type of food and drink served, especially in our regions. So this was said by PDG Andre again as one of the reasons for not attracting Malay Muslim into Rotary. So next, invite people from across the community to participate in your club service projects. In club leadership, we must eliminate any club requirements or barriers that prevent newer members from seeking clubs leadership positions. I'm happy that PDG Andre mentioned this. He mentioned it about forming clique in the club. Encourage people from underrepresented groups to take on leadership positions and support them when they do. Ensure that district and club committees have members with diverse backgrounds and perspectives. When we recruit new members, focus on offering club experience that is important to the people you want to recruit. For younger leaders, involve them in your events. Treat them as equal and assign them with tasks that allows them to contribute in a significant ways. We must not treat our interactors and rotaractors as source of cheap labor. Enable and empower young leaders to engage in meaningful opportunities, projects, and roles that advance and support their goals. Take advantage of Rotary's club flexibility options to make your club more accessible to a wide variety of members. Listen to your members and adjust your meeting schedules, of course, to make sure everyone can participate. Offer a variety of membership types to meet the needs of current, new, and prospective members. The Rotary International Board is leading by example. It sets a goal to increase the number of women who are Rotary members and who serve in Rotary leadership position to up to 30% by June 2023. This morning, Rotary International President nominee Jennifer Jones mentioned that there are actually 9, I think maybe RI President-elect, who mentioned that 9 members will be the next year's board. So more women are being appointed to serve as International Assembly training leaders, regional leaders, and Rotary International Committee members. However, this is unlikely to be met, so much so that a proposed enactment is being put forward to the 2022 COL meetings to remove the requirement of candidates for RI directorship to attend at least 2 institutes and 1 convention in the most recent 3 years. So during the board meeting in November 2020, in order to promote diversity in Rotary leadership positions, the board made 2 important decisions. 1, agrees that effective with the next recruitment cycle, that non-past governors with strong relationship with district and zone leadership are eligible to serve, and to remove the past governor qualification from all regional leaders position, Rotary coordinators, and public image coordinators, and request that trustee to take the same actions with regard to the foundation's petitions. Number 2, agrees that to the maximum extent possible, one gender should not constitute more than 60% of the speakers at Rotary International and Zone events. In the same proposed enactment, they are seeking change to allow Rotaractors to serve in Rotary International committees. More significantly and importantly, in 2023, for the first time in Rotary history, Rotary will be led by a lady president, Jennifer Jones. You heard her earlier this morning. So despite the progress, the DEI plan is still work in progress. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. We use these words as we strive to become more diverse. Yet many of us are still uncertain about the steps needed to turn dialogue and intention into action. It is crucial that everyone who engages with Rotary, no matter who they are in the world or how long they have been connected to Rotary, to feel valued, respected, and welcome. Rotary's capacity for doing good is amplified when we are not only welcome, but actively invite a variety of experiences, culture, and perspective. Rotary recognizes that DEI is an ever-evolving principle that needs continued growth to succeed and flourish. To do this, Rotary has engaged an outside DEI advisor to help us assess and better understand how DEI is perceived and experienced by Rotary members across the globe. As part of this process, Rotary International will review their policy and procedures, conduct interviews with Rotary leaderships, and survey our members. So one of the goals of the survey is to learn whether diversity is valued and championed at the club and district level among Rotary senior leaders, and if people feel respected, accepted, and included in all engagement and interaction with Rotary. The survey will give an understanding of how respondents perceive equity in opportunity and access to leadership opportunity, and whether DEI is the same across all respondents, no matter their background. In closing, I would like to offer some word of caution. You may have probably realized that I did not stress on using DEI as a membership recruitment tool, although there is potential. I don't want you to think that tomorrow your club needs to have all the diversity mentioned in the DEI statement. DEI is not just about Rotarians. It concerns about people outside Rotary too. In his address at International Assembly, Rotary International President-elect Sheikh Mehta called for each one brings one. He asked everyone to engage another person, and this person may or may not eventually join Rotary. So personally, I believe in starting with inclusivity. If we have an inclusive environment, then diversity will come. If you focus only on diversity, you're just focusing on checking boxes of people who are visibly different. So diversity is a fact. Inclusion is an act. It takes effort and practice, but over time, it should lead you to a more equitable place with equal opportunity for all people. Be mindful. Do not upset status quo too much, especially when it comes to culture. Do not force it upon too much until it's a point of no return. Again, embracing DEI doesn't mean that you have to check all the boxes in the DEI statements. Just to give you an example, in my district, District 3310, we have a club in Kota Kinabalu, Rotary Club Kinabalu, the first and oldest club in Sabah. They are an English-speaking and all-male club. Instead of changing drastically, they managed to form 2 new clubs to cater for diversity. One all-female club and one Mandarin-speaking club. And these 2 clubs are still doing very well. So it goes to show that you don't have to be disruptive. However, you need to be adaptive. All you need is creativity and pragmatism. Don't be complacent. Otherwise, there will be another Uber or Airbnb or Grab that will hit us in Rotary. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the conference, and remember to stay safe. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you, Kim Bok, for the enlightening address on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I guess in the summary of your address to us this this afternoon was touching a lot on the importance of diversity and how to get underrepresented people into our clubs. I think this is some area that we have not actually paid a lot of attention to it. I think we should look at people who are not represented and how we can involve them in our membership. You did touch on the positive outcome, the importance of a vision, and the importance of positive meetings, and to encourage leadership positions and to listen to members. I think you did bring the topic of young leaders coming into position, because I think one of the new directions from the board is to appoint or Rotarians don't have to be a past governor to be appointed on Rotary International committees. And they are now looking at younger group of people wanting to serve at the different levels of leadership. And some of the positive things that are coming out of that is today the youths have also, or Rotractors are getting involved a lot into the international scene. And some of them are actually now getting as advisors to the trustees of the Rotary Foundation. There have been some youths who have been selected, and they also give their inputs to the Rotary International Board. I think there are many areas that you have touched, and thank you so much for this presentation this afternoon. Are there any questions from the House? Anybody would like to ask Kim Bok, our incoming Rotary coordinator? Any questions? Very good. No questions? Right, thank you so much, Kim Bok. We'll see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Today with book sales of over 8 million copies since 2001. His latest book is called Happy Money, The Japanese Art of Making Peace with Your Money. And I think this is something which you'd like to read. So please join the session to take away something from someone who retired when he was 21 and has, 29, and has had a second coming as an author and motivator. He has given himself to educating a whole generation on how to spark joy in your money and wallet, and share his thoughts in the session entitled How to Make Giving Easy. So join us tomorrow with Ken Honda, the Zen millionaire, and he might actually make a difference in our lives. Alex, over to you.
All right. So before we end the day, right, there's also another highlight that you should be looking forward to tomorrow. So Ken Honda will help you spark joy in your wallet. But speaking of sparking joy, if you're joining our session tomorrow is Nisha Ayub. She's an activist in a cause that sparks joy within me and that I support strongly, which is the fight to equality, the right to love, and also the right to be yourself. Nisha was imprisoned, ridiculed, and also assaulted at the age of 21. She is a co-founder of Seed and Justice for Sisters, who are out there fighting to aid marginalized transgender persons in Malaysia. Join her session tomorrow titled Being Part of Humanity and hear her journey and her fight for this cause. Tomorrow, we also have interesting things like membership recognition. So I hope all of you can come in tomorrow and join and support your fellow Rotarians and also other clubs as they get recognized as some of the things that they have achieved this year and also last year in terms of membership. Right. So with that, guys, I hope everybody had fun. You've learned a lot of things, and this has been an amazing day. Signing out from the Green Robot Studio here in Sunway. See you guys around. Take care. Stay safe. Please don't go out panic buying food. So, but of course, maintain your distance, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Signing out. Peace.
Just before that, we just need to remind those Rotarians in the audience to please sign on to the business meeting. And those of you who are not Rotarians, we'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you.